The acceptance letter arrived on a sunny Tuesday morning. I remember because I'd been checking the mail obsessively for weeks, much to our elderly postman's amusement. When I saw the thick envelope with Harvard's crimson logo, my hands trembled so badly I could barely open it. "Dear Miss Olivia Bennett, we are pleased to inform you," I screamed right there on our front porch, clutching the letter to my chest. 4 generations of Bennetts had attended local community college. I would be the first to break that cycle, the first to aim higher. If only I'd known how much that achievement would cost me. My cousin Madison lived next door. Our fathers were twins who'd married sisters, keeping the Bennett family close-knit and oddly intertwined. We'd grown up more like sisters than cousins, sharing clothes, secrets and dreams. At least, that's what I'd thought. I rushed to her house, bursting with excitement. Madison had applied to Harvard too, but received her rejection letter 3 weeks ago. I'd been walking on eggshells since then, trying to balance my hope with sensitivity to her disappointment. But surely now, with my acceptance in hand, we could celebrate together. She was in their family room, sprawled on the leather couch our grandparents had given her family last Christmas. Mine had gotten a second-hand dining set, just another example of the subtle favoritism I'd grown used to over the years. "Maddie, you won't believe it." I waved the letter. "I got in." She looked up from her phone, her expression unreadable. "Got in where?" "Harvard, just like we always talked about." I pulled out the champagne bottle I'd bought on my way over. "I thought we could celebrate together, maybe start planning how you could transfer next year." Madison stood slowly, smoothing her designer jeans, another gift from our grandparents. "You got into Harvard?" "Yes. Isn't it amazing? We can still be close, just like we planned. Boston's not that far, and you could visit while you're at." The bottle never made it out of my hands. Madison grabbed it by the neck, her knuckles white. "You think you're so special, don't you? Little Olivia, so smart, so perfect." "Maddie, what are you?" Pain exploded across my face as the bottle connected with my nose. I heard a sickening crunch, felt warm blood gushing down my chin. The letter fluttered from my hands as I stumbled backward. I was supposed to get in. Madison screamed, still holding the broken bottle. "Not you. Never you." I collapsed, my vision blurring. Through the haze of pain, I saw her tear my acceptance letter to shreds, watched the pieces fall like confetti around me. The next thing I remember is the hospital. A stern-faced doctor shining lights in my eyes, nurses whispering, my parents hovering anxiously in the background, but not my aunt and uncle, not Madison. "Multiple facial fractures," the doctor was saying. "We'll need extensive x-rays to assess the damage." My mother clutched my father's arm. "But she'll be okay. The physical injuries will heal," the doctor assured them, "though there might be some scarring." As they wheeled me to radiology, I caught snippets of a heated conversation between my parents in the hallway. "We have to tell her," my mother hissed. "After what Madison did." "Not now," my father cut her off. "She's been through enough today." The X-ray technician positioned my head carefully, making sympathetic noises at my winces of pain. As she took multiple images, I noticed her frown deepening. "Dr. Phillips," she called out, "you need to see this." The doctor who'd examined me earlier hurried in, studying the X-ray screen with growing concern. They spoke in hushed tones, pointing at something I couldn't see. "Miss Bennett," Dr. Phillips finally said, "these X-rays show something unusual, something that predates today's injury." "What do you mean?" He pointed to several dark spots on the image. "These are evidence of multiple previous fractures, some from early childhood. They were never properly treated." My confusion must have shown on my face because he added, "Olivia, were you aware that you'd broken your nose before?" "Multiple times, in fact." I shook my head, then immediately regretted the movement as pain shot through my face. "I need to speak with your parents," he said grimly, "and possibly the police." As he left, I caught my reflection in the window's glass. Behind the bruising and bandages, I barely recognized myself, but something else caught my eye. A familiar shape to my nose, one I'd seen in old family photos. The same nose Madison had gotten fixed when she was 12. The same nose our grandparents had insisted she needed surgery for, while telling me mine was characteristically Bennett. How many other family secrets would these X-rays reveal? The police arrived within the hour, accompanied by a social worker named Miss Torres. They interviewed me while Dr. Phillips showed my X-rays to my parents in another room. I could hear my mother crying through the thin hospital walls. "Can you tell us about your childhood injuries?" Miss Torres asked gently, notepad ready. "I don't remember any," I replied honestly. "I was clumsy as a kid, always falling. But broken bones. No. The social worker exchanged glances with the detective. What about Madison? Did she ever hurt you before today? I started to say no, but memories began surfacing. Memories I'd buried or explained away. Madison pushing me down the stairs when I won the spelling bee in 4th grade. The time she accidentally slammed my hand in the car door, after I got a better grade in AP chemistry. Each incident followed by expensive gifts from our grandparents, as if to buy my silence. Olivia the detective leaned forward. We found something interesting in your medical records. Multiple emergency room visits between ages 6 and 12. Each time, your parents checked you in under different hospitals. My head spun. That's not possible. I barely remember going to the doctor as a kid. There are ways to make children forget trauma, Miss Torres said softly, especially when it's ongoing. Before I could process this, my parents burst into the room. My mother's eyes were red, my father's face ashen. We can explain, he started, but the detective cut him off. Mr. Bennett, we're investigating a pattern of suspected abuse. I suggest you contact your lawyer. It wasn't abuse, my mother cried. We were protecting her. From what? I demanded, my voice cracking. From who? The room fell silent. My father sank into a chair, looking older than I'd ever seen him. From Madison, he finally said, and from the truth about why our family favored her. Your grandfather, my mother continued, wringing her hands, he had expectations about how a Bennett should look, should act. When you and Madison were born 3 months apart, he became obsessed with having the perfect granddaughter. Madison fit his image, my father added. You reminded him too much of his sister. What sister? You told me Grandpa was an only child. My parents exchanged looks. She died in a mental institution in the 1960s, my mother whispered. Your grandfather had her committed when she started showing signs of being different. Brilliant, but different. Like you. The pieces started falling into place. The separate hospitals, the clumsiness, the constant comparisons to Madison. Every time you outshone Madison, my father explained, she'd lash out. Your grandfather would cover it up, pay for her anger management therapy, blame you for provoking her. We thought if we just kept quiet, kept you safe. Safe, I laughed bitterly. By letting her hurt me, by watching our grandparents praise her while treating me like I was broken. We have documentation, the detective interrupted. Medical bills, therapy records, even surveillance footage from your neighborhood showing multiple incidents over the years. Miss Torres handed me a tissue. I hadn't realized I was crying. Your cousin Madison has been admitted to the psychiatric ward, she explained. The doctors found evidence of long-term behavioral issues that were never properly addressed. Your grandparents' enabling made it worse. My phone buzzed. A text from Madison's mother, my aunt. I'm so sorry. We should have stopped this years ago. Another buzz. This time from my grandfather. Family handles things privately. Remember that. I showed the messages to the detective, who added them to his evidence file. What happens now? I asked, feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. Now, Miss Torres said firmly, we make sure this never happens again. Your acceptance to Harvard shows how much you've achieved despite everything. But healing takes time. My mother reached for my hand. This time, I let her take it. No more secrets, I said, and no more pretending Madison's behavior is normal. We'll do better, my father promised. Starting with getting you away from here. Boston's looking pretty good right now. Through the hospital window, I could see our family's houses side by side, identical, except for all the ways they weren't. Like Madison and me, cousins raised as sisters, mirror images distorted by years of family secrets and carefully crafted lies. The Harvard acceptance letter lay in pieces on Madison's floor, but they couldn't tear up my future. Not anymore. Dr. Phillips returned with discharge papers, and a referral to a trauma specialist. Ready to start healing? He asked. I touched my bandaged nose, feeling the truth of what lay beneath. Yes, I said, all of me. 3 months later, I stood in front of Harvard's imposing iron gates, my nose mostly healed but my soul still mending. The summer had been a whirlwind of depositions, therapy sessions, and family revelations that seemed to get darker with each passing week. Madison had been diagnosed with a severe personality disorder, exacerbated by years of our grandparents' enabling and manipulation. She would spend the next year in an intensive treatment program. Part of me felt relief, another part guilt, and yet another part, the part I was still learning to accept, felt a deep simmering anger. Miss Bennett, A woman in a tailored suit approached me. I'm Dean Richardson. We received your updated file. By updated file, she meant the police reports, medical records and court documents that explained why my high school valedictorian speech had been delivered with a still healing nose and a restraining order in place. I understand if the university wants to reconsider my acceptance, I said, the words tasting bitter. The dean smiled kindly. Actually, we wanted to offer you a different housing arrangement, one with enhanced security, and a single room if you prefer. My throat tightened. After years of being told to minimize, to accommodate, to pretend, here was someone offering protection without me having to beg for it. There's something else, she continued. We found some interesting information about your great-aunt Eleanor Bennett. She was admitted here in 1962. The sister they committed, I whispered. Brilliant mathematician, full scholarship, but she never got to graduate. The dean handed me a folder. Your grandfather had her removed from campus, claimed she was unstable. Her research on advanced theoretical physics was quite revolutionary for her time. Inside the folder were yellowed papers covered in complex equations, and a black and white photo of a young woman with my nose, my original nose, before Madison's attacks had repeatedly broken it. She was standing in front of these same gates, beaming with hope. Why are you showing me this? Because history doesn't have to repeat itself, Miss Bennett. Your family's pattern of suppressing exceptional women ends with you. That afternoon, I called the one person who deserved to know this truth. Hello, Olivia. My great-aunt Eleanor's voice was soft but clear. The assisted living facility had taken some convincing to let me contact her, especially since my grandfather still had medical power of attorney. I got into Harvard, I told her. Just like you did. A long pause. They told me no one knew about that anymore. I know everything now. About what they did to you, what they tried to do to me. Are you safe? The question carried decades of weight. Yes, finally, and you will be too. I glanced at my lawyer's text confirming the paperwork to transfer Eleanor's care had been filed. We're getting you out of there. It's too late for me, dear. It's not. Your research, Dean Richardson, says it was groundbreaking. They want to posthumously award your degree, but I told them they should give it to you in person. I heard her crying softly. I never thought they said I was delusional, that my work was nonsense. They lied. About everything. That evening, I sat in my new dorm room, surrounded by textbooks and possibilities. My phone buzzed with a message from Madison's treatment center. She was requesting to send a letter as part of her therapy. I marked it as read, but didn't respond. Another text arrived, this one from my parents. Grandpa's contesting Eleanor's transfer. We're standing with you this time. I looked at Eleanor's equation-filled papers spread across my desk, her theories about quantum entanglement and parallel universes. In one of them, maybe there was a Madison who celebrated my success instead of trying to destroy it. A grandfather who nurtured brilliant minds instead of fearing them. But in this universe, I had to work with the truth I'd been given. Someone knocked on my door. My roommate Rachel, whom I'd met during orientation. Hey, a bunch of us are getting dinner. Want to join? I touched my nose, still sensitive but healing straight thanks to a surgeon who'd actually listened to what I wanted. Yeah, just let me grab my coat. Cool. Oh, and we're hitting the physics library after. Jenny's struggling with quantum theory. I smiled, gathering Eleanor's papers. Actually, I might be able to help with that. As we walked across campus, I felt the weight of generations of Bennett women walking with me. The ones who'd been silenced, committed, twisted into something they weren't, but also the ones who'd survived, who'd kept their brilliance burning despite everything. The autumn air carried the promise of new equations to solve, new theories to explore, new truths to uncover, and this time, no one would break me for shining too bright. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Eleanor. Show them what a Bennett woman can really do. I looked up at the stars, their light reaching us across impossible distances, defying time and space, just like Eleanor's theories suggested. Some things, I realized, were stronger than family secrets, stronger than broken bones, stronger than fear. Some things, like truth and talent, couldn't be buried forever.